Okay, hello ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mr. Clockwork Apple, and today I'm going to be reviewing some of the books from my fighting fantasy collection. That's backwards. No. Fighting Fantasy is a series of game books. If you've never heard of a game book, it's a book where instead of reading from starting at this cover and going to hit this cover, you instead have to flick backwards and forwards through the book, going by these numbers up on the paragraphs here. So at the bottom it will tell you to go to a certain paragraph to progress through the book, and you make your choices depending on which way you want to go. So the first book here I've got is Deathtrap Dungeon. This was actually the first book in the series I got, based on the game for the PlayStation 1, which wasn't very good. The point of this book is that there is a town called Fang, where the Baron, named Baron Succumvit, I know, weird, stupid name, but I don't care, has set up a dungeon under his castle, where every year adventurers like yourself come to try and get through the dungeon, and if you can make it all the way through and come out the other end, you are rewarded with the grand prize, which I think it says in here. It says somewhere, I can't be bothered to find it. Basically lots and lots and lots of money. Here we go, 10,000 gold pieces. So of course that's something that a lot of people are going to want. And of course there's only one way into the dungeon and one way out of the dungeon, with lots and lots of ways to die in between. You can die a simple way by just losing a fight, because these games have battles in. They're pretty simple to do. It mostly relies on the dice rolls. If you don't have dice, there's these little dice here at the bottom of the book, which you can flick through to simulate a roll. Easy enough to remember. Or there's other ways where if you just make a wrong turn, you can die very easily, like this paragraph here. You probably can't read it, but basically you get stuck on the other end of a mirror, the other side of a mirror, and you can't get out. So lots of ways to die. This was, as I said, this was the first of the books that I got, and it's actually one of the better books in the series. Decent. Very, very challenging. I know a book shouldn't be called challenging to read unless it's really long, but as you can see, this isn't very long. It's a few hundred pages. These pages aren't actually numbered, but yeah, lots of fun. Good introduction to the series. Not the first book in the series, or even the reprinted ones. This is actually number 3 in my collection, which is the Wizard Publishing Studio's reproduction of the books, which are basically the best of collection. So if you're looking for a good way to get into the series, I really recommend this one. Next book in the series I've got is Creature of Havoc. The interesting thing about this book is, rather than taking the role of an adventurer, you are actually a monster, this big scaled thing. You never actually get a description of what you look like. That there isn't you. That's a creature called a devourer. There's actually another illustration of it in the book somewhere. I can't find it. No, that isn't it. No, here it is. Yeah, that's what he looks like in the book. So it's obviously quite different to him on the cover, but that isn't you. You're this big scaled monster. You start off the book in this cave at the bottom. You have no idea where you are, what you're doing, and you just start off middle of nowhere, shambling through the cave, killing and eating adventurers, the kind of things you would normally play as in these books, and trying to find out what the hell is going on, because, as I said, you are a monster and you have no idea. You go through the game as you start getting a bit more control over the monster. You actually, at the very beginning of the book, you have no control at all, and you have to rely on the dice rolls to figure out how you move along, which is you can actually miss one of the items you need to beat the book. So if you get bad on the dice, you can actually lose this before you even realise it, and you don't need the item until the very end, so you might have already lost before you even know what's going on. But as you go on, you get control over the monster. You can decide where to go. You learn languages, so you can start. You can't talk, but you can understand what people are saying. In the very earliest parts of the book, the language is you can't understand a word they're saying. It's all bundles of gibberish letters and stuff. And once you've got the item, you can translate it and find out what they're saying, which you need to do obviously to progress through the book. So you find out the special code that lets you figure out how to get on to the next area. It's actually probably my favourite book in the collection, mostly because of the idea of playing as this monster. Although it's probably one of the most difficult books in the collection, with lots of unfair death. The fighting is actually made really easy because you've got these protective scales, which mean you take less damage than normal. And if you get double dice roll, you use your big massive claws to kill things instantly. I wouldn't recommend this as your first one. It will really turn you away from the series. So get some others first. If you like them, get this one. It's really fun. As I said, probably my favourite in the series. Next one is House of Hell. Or if you're in America, I think it's called House of Hades, because you have to censor things in America. I don't know why. This is actually another interesting one because you're not an adventurer. It's not even in a fantasy world. You're just some guy out driving late at night, and your car I think you crash your car, and you have to go to this house to try and find a phone call. Of course, typical horror movie style. It's not a good house. Haunted house. There's monsters and death all over the damn place as well. You don't have any weapons. You can find weapons in the book, which will make life a bit easier, but not much. There's also another thing called fear in this book, where if every time you encounter something really scary, you get some fear points, and if your points get too high, depending on the dice rolls at the beginning of the book to find out your stats, if your fear gets too high, you just die of fright. I guess your character has a heart attack or something. Probably should have taken his medication. Yeah, this guy here on the front, I think he's one of the monsters you can encounter. Yeah, none of the illustrations on the front actually show your main character. I guess that's so you can put yourself into the role better, decide what gender you are. Obviously, being a guy, I always picture myself as being male. Yeah. So we got the house here. Actually, I haven't mentioned the illustrations yet. The illustrations are always really nice. They're all very creepy and bloody, and often showing some of the monsters and stuff you can encounter. As I said, this book, I think it was actually attempted to make it into a movie a while ago, but I think that fell through. Basically, they couldn't figure out how to turn this into a movie. I think that's fair enough. So as I said, this one's really different from the other books, being based more on like a Hammer horror movie rather than a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy affair. Again, really fun. I think I can recommend this one to beginners because it's pretty difficult again, but you don't need to know anything else. It's a standalone book. You don't need to read any of the others to figure out what's going on. And the horror movie genre, I think, is a bit more open and accessible than the fantasy genre in general. Again, I know that's probably wrong in so many cases, but it's a good one. Definitely pick it up if you see a copy of it. Pick it up if you're already into the series. Definitely get it. A lot of fun. And the fourth book I'm going to be reviewing is Forest of Doom. There's a scary looking lizard guy on the front here. In this one, you're travelling through a forest to try and basically repair this ancient magical warhammer. The interesting thing about this one is it's actually very open-ended. It's a lot more wide and varied. The other books generally have this particular one straight line you have to go through the book to get out alive. This one, you would essentially travel north through the forest, zigzagging up through, and when you reach the end, you can loop around back to the beginning and try again, without having to start the whole book again. And at the very beginning of the book, there's this shop where you can buy items using the gold you've earned by heading through the forest. Obviously, at the beginning, you don't know what items you need or which ones actually work. Some of them are completely fake items that don't do anything at all. They just take up your inventory space. So each time you head through the forest, you're going to have a little bit more knowledge. You can go back, buy the items you need, and hopefully this time go a bit further through the forest, go a bit more left, a bit more right, try the different paths, and eventually you'll get through to finding and locating the hammer. Obviously there's death all over the place like all the other books, so don't expect to do this on your first try. And none of these books are easy. You are going to die on your first try unless you get really, really lucky. This book is, as I said, a lot more open than the others. I wouldn't really recommend it as the first book, so you really need to learn how to build. You need to learn how to make maps for these books to get through this one. I recommend you get like that squared maths paper that you used to use in school. That's really good for making maps on these books, or something like, I don't know, Microsoft Excel, something with lots of squares that you can fill in with information. As I said, you need it for this book. There's actually in the collection I've got there's 4 other books, but the only one of these I've actually read is City of Thieves, and I haven't got through that one very far. Yeah, I got Warlock of Firetop Mountain, which is actually the first book ever made, Citadel of Chaos, City of Thieves, and Crypt of the Sorcerer. There's actually, I think there's about 50 something books in this series, and I think half of them have been re-released under the Wizard Publishing. You can tell it's got this little shield here. So if you're looking for something different, if you're looking for that combination of book and video game, or if you want to play something like Dungeons and Dragons but don't have any friends who want to play it with you, then seek out these books. They are a lot of fun. They're a good challenge. Now, you're going to need some setup with paper and dice and your pen and everything to get through them. But they are, as I said, a lot of fun, really pretty interesting reads as well actually. They get really inventive at times. I highly recommend you pick them up if you want something different to try. So again, that is the fighting fantasy books, and this is probably backwards for the camera, but oh well. So yeah, if you want something new, pick these books up, especially those 4 I've just reviewed. Again, I'll just go through the titles again. That is Deathtrap Dungeon, Creature of Havoc, House of Hell, and Forest of Doom. So if you want something different, try these, but not that one. Leave that for a while. Don't make this one your first again. Okay, so I have been Mr. Clockwork Apple, and if you want something interesting, try fighting fantasy. Bye.